other witnesses, counsel?
Mr. DeSorbo.
Mr. DeSorbo? Could you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Sure. Arthur, middle initial L, DeSorbo, D-E, capital S-O-R, B as in boy O.
And did you take the oath?
I did.
Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. DeSorbo, what are your responsibilities with the Maturo administration?
My title is Director of Administration and Management. I'm responsible for, in the office, in particular, the day-to-day operations of town government, economic development, some labor issues, and things of that nature.
Okay. How long have you had that responsibility with the Maturo administration?
Since November of 1997.
Now, are you aware of the Freedom of Information Act request that Mr. Rocco served upon the mayor's office?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did you receive it?
I did.
Are you the first person who would have received it?
Well, I received it indirectly. I was in another meeting when it made its way to the mayor's office.
Is that part of your responsibilities to address FOI requests that come to the mayor's office?
In the normal course of business, they make it to my desk after they're delivered in some fashion to the office.
All right. When you received this particular FOI request, what did you do?
I believe because it got there before I was in the office, it was forwarded already to the town attorney. Normally, I would forward any request under Freedom of Information to the office of the town attorney for his input.
All right. And I'm not going to ask you what the input was, but I'm going to ask you what you did after you got the input from the town attorney.
Well, I talked to Joyce regarding the compilation of the calendar that she maintained, and I asked the mayor to print off the schedule for the dates that were requested in Mr. Rocco's letter.
Okay. Mr. DeSorbo, did you make the mayor aware of the request?
I believe because it got there before I did, he was already aware of it.
Okay. And were you made aware of any objections that the mayor had to the disclosure of any of his work schedules
No.
or calendars?
No.
He never articulated that to you?
No, he did not.
Okay. How was it that you personally went about complying with Mr. Rocco's request after you spoke to Ms. Hollenbeck and the town attorney?
I made the decision that items of a personal nature, not related to the day-to-day activities or work activities of the mayor, would be redacted.
Okay. Now, when you made that determination, did you then direct Ms. Hollenbeck to follow through on that?
We had a conversation. I don't remember the content of the conversation, but I told her that I believed that anything that she felt was of a personal nature, family related or related outside of the realm of the mayor's responsibilities and duties should be redacted.
Okay. Now, you've already heard her testify, correct?
I did.
Okay. Do you know who made the redactions on the electronic calendar?
I made the redactions on the electronic calendar.
And you determined yourself what was of a personal nature
That's
and what was
correct.
not of a personal nature?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you heard the mayor testify as well, correct?
I did.
He maintains his own electronic calendar, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And Ms. Hollenbeck maintains the paper calendar on her desk, is
That's
that
correct.
correct? Ms. Hollenbeck keeps her calendar on a daily basis, is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And the mayor keeps his calendar on a daily basis as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Did you confer with anybody before you made the call to make the redactions on the electronic calendar?
No, I did not.
And what was your motivation?
My motivation, as I stated earlier, and I stand by my motivation and my decision that any things that were redacted in the electronic calendar that I was responsible for, and I have full faith in the judgment of Mrs. Hollenbeck, were items which I believe were not within the realm of release under Freedom of Information or related to the mayor's day-to-day activities and the performance of his duties.
And you made that call on your own?
I did.
When did you make the mayor aware of it?
I believe the redactions became aware of the mayor after the complaint was filed, the second complaint by Mr. Rocco, that made the newspapers.
Now, Mr. DeSorbo, you are aware of a second FOI request that was made?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and that was made by a Mr. Krebs, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and the second request that was made by Mr. Krebs, did you play any role in complying with that one?
I did. I actually put together the entire response to Mr. Krebs' request.
Is it your position that in response to Mr. Krebs' request, the town has fully complied with the request for documents concerning the mayor's work schedule?
Yes.
And that applies to Joyce Hollenbeck's calendar as well as the electronic calendar, is that correct?
I'm going to object. I mean, I'm not sure the relevance of the compliance with Mr. Krebs' request.
Well, it was raised, he opened the door to it when he questioned the mayor. The mayor said he's now made a judgment call to fully comply in response to a request that was made by Mr. Krebs. I want to know whether, in his opinion, or having worked on it, that there has in fact been a full compliance. Mr. Krebs is under subpoena by Mr. Skriniari.
Okay, I'll allow the question.
Well, I can tell you that the electronic calendar was submitted to Mr. Krebs and redacted in its entirety.
Okay.
As far as the paper request that Mrs. Hollenbeck put together and the subsequent addendum to that that explained the redactions, I have no reason to believe that that is not an accurate portrayal of the original calendar.
Okay. Is it, do you know if it's an unredacted paper calendar?
I believe that there was no ability to physically unredact the paper calendar, but that I think we submitted an attested list of an explanation for each one of those items, and you can't tell in the original by placing it up to the light what was under.
Mr. DeSorbo, as you sit here today, do you know whether the items that Ms. Hollenbeck has listed in her affidavit as items that she redacted from the paper calendar are consistent with the items that you redacted on the electronic calendar?
I did not make a comparison of both calendars.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further. Thanks.
I have just a question, Mr. DeSorbo. There's been some testimony about the request from Mr. James Krebs, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, just so that the record is clear, I'm showing you a copy of a request for records. Is that the request from Mr. Krebs?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to offer it just because there's been testimony about it.
I have no objection.
This will be respondents number 5. It's in August, is it 5 or 6? 5. It's an August 27, 2007 letter from Mr. Krebs to the mayor of East Haven.
Sure.
Mr. DeSorbo, did you compare the Krebs request with the Rocco request?
I did.
Did you find the request to be remarkably similar?
I'll stipulate it's identical.
Council late answer. The way I would have
You
answered.
can answer.
It was identical, except there was an inclusion of additional dates in the Krebs request.
Thank you.
Mr. DeSorbo, when you redacted the calendar of the mayor, the electronic calendar of the mayor, did you redact any items that you believed would relate to the conduct of the public's business?
I don't believe I did.
I have nothing else.
I have one, just one.
Okay, it's a rather unusual council.
I know. Could you tell me how a redaction related to Sal Brancaille would be personal business for the mayor?
I believe that that was not a business appointment.
You believe so?
I believe so.
Do you know so?
I pretty much am certain it was not a business appointment.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.